I bought the house on a Tuesday in March, and by Friday I was standing in it alone for the first time, holding a cup of tea I'd forgotten to drink. It wasn't what people imagine when they picture a beach house. No wraparound porch, no whitewashed shingles from a magazine. It was modest, slightly weathered, with windows that faced west so the evenings came in gold and slow. I had spent 4 months finding it, and 6 weeks convincing myself I was allowed to have it. I had quit my job in October. Not dramatically. I submitted the letter on a Monday, cleared my desk by Wednesday, and spent the next 3 months being very still. People kept asking what I was going to do next. I didn't have an answer that satisfied them, so I stopped answering. The beach house was the answer. Not a destination. More like a decision made in 3 dimensions. The first night, I didn't unpack. I sat on the floor with my back against the couch that hadn't arrived yet, listening to the water I couldn't quite see from that angle. It was the first evening in longer than I could measure where nothing was required of me. No performance, no managing of atmospheres. Just the sound of water doing what water does without anyone's permission. My phone buzzed at 9:14 p.m., my mother. I answered because I always answered. That was its own kind of muscle memory. "We've been talking," she said, which meant she had been talking and my father had been nodding. "And we think it makes the most sense for us to come stay with you. Help you get settled." "Your father said it's fine." I waited. "We'll come tomorrow, bring some things." "Some things," I repeated. "We might stay through the summer. The apartment is so hot and you have all that space." Her voice shifted into something gentler, which was actually harder to absorb. "If you don't like it, you can always find somewhere else to be." I remember the specific texture of that sentence. "You can always find somewhere else to be." Said about my house, my name on the deed. My 4 months of stillness turned into a down payment. I said, "Okay, Mom, I'll see you tomorrow." And I smiled. Not for her. The phone was already leaving my ear. Here is what I didn't say on that call. 3 weeks before I closed on the house, I had a conversation with a real estate attorney named Daniel Price. It wasn't intuition exactly. It was pattern recognition. I had spent 34 years watching my own space. Physical, emotional, professional, become communal property the moment I stopped physically defending it. I had learned this about myself too late to apply it to most things. I was applying it here. The trust was Daniel's suggestion. Clean, legal, structurally sound. It meant the property had specific terms around occupancy. It meant that arriving with boxes and a summer's worth of assumptions constituted something with a real legal name. I had almost cancelled that meeting twice. It had felt paranoid, ungrateful. Like I was preparing for a war I was hoping wouldn't happen. I printed the letter that night. Set it on the kitchen counter, face up, next to the fruit bowl I'd bought because I wanted a fruit bowl. Then I went to sleep. They arrived at 11 in the morning. My mother walked in the way she walked into most spaces. Like a surveyor assessing what could be improved. My father carried a box and said my name once in greeting. He was a man who had spent decades taking up very little room, which I had once admired, and now understood differently. My mother found the letter while I was making coffee. The silence had a shape to it. She read it once. "Read it again." I heard the paper. "What is this?" Not a question. A challenge issued at low volume. "It's the property documentation," I said. "Daniel can answer any questions. His number's on the section page." She set it down, picked it up again. My father looked at the window. There was no scene. That's the part people wouldn't believe, maybe. That it didn't become enormous. She said 2 things I'm not going to repeat. I said almost nothing. My father put his box down, then picked it up again. By 12:30, the car was being repacked. I didn't watch them go. I was already at the water, shoes off, standing where the sand went damp and cold. The waves were unremarkable. Gray-green and steady. They didn't care what had just happened in the house behind me. I stood there for a long time, not victorious. That's not the word. Victory implies a competition I had wanted to be in. What I felt was something I didn't have language for yet, something like, "This is mine," and I stayed inside it. Something like the first full breath after a very long held one. The tea inside was cold by now. I went back in anyway,